Hi guys, I'm Shmee, hello and welcome back to the channel. It's an overcast day here in Miami, Florida, but it's time to pop the GT Black Series away into storage, the end of part 3 of this incredible tour. But the big question is, how are we doing compared to the original budget? You might remember when we were driving from New Jersey over towards Connecticut, I gave you a rundown of the budget for this entire 60-day tour with my car over the other side of the Atlantic Ocean with everything that's involved. The tour has kind of extended out beyond what was originally intended in terms of extra parts. That means more flights, but also we've done quite a good job of this. So today I want to clarify how we've been getting along, whether we are indeed over budget so far or not. But firstly, let me show you how many miles this thing has actually now done. The miles have been piling on. We are approaching 10,000 miles in the USA. In fact, it started at 5,500. It's now just shy of 15,500. Of course, having multiple sets of new tires, having had a service along the way, and so much more to it. But let's get straight to this because we've got a few errands to go and run, including showing you something that if you've been following for a while, you might remember from a couple of years ago, plus then getting over to cars to get this stored away until it's time for part 4. My collection of stickers on this car has been expanding rapidly. Given it's on a bit of a world tour, remember it's been around Europe, it's been out to the Middle East, it's been all the way across the USA, I have been accruing some stickers under the boot lid, the trunk lid, to bring the memories of everywhere that it's been. And there are a few more now. We already had from the Yas Marina track day, that was the entry to the Dubai Autodrome track day. These are the parking passes for the Abu Dhabi F1 Grand Prix. Then it shipped over to the US. We've had the track day at Circuit of the Americas at COTA, been to an event at the Peterson, visited Whistle and Diesel, visited the Patina Collective. We've been stored at Cars in LA and now we'll be in Miami. This was the track day at Willow Springs with Cargroms, 70MS and the Hamilton Collection. This is because I've actually filmed with the full trio from Car Trek, Hoovie's Garage over at Barrett Jackson in Arizona. I've also filmed with Ed Bolian, Vin Wiki and some stories. Plus, there might be something to come with Freddie Tavarish. Stay tuned for that one, but it's been such a good car for the purpose, massive amounts of luggage space for these extended tours. And one of the fun things, given that we're here in Miami, while my GT500 was here often, there are actually 9 places I've figured that all 3 of the Shmeemobiles that have been here in the US have been, and they vary across the whole of the country, because back in 2019, my Ford GT was out here for a couple of months. In 2021, I bought the Shelby GT500 here in Miami, which then went over to the UK and is of course with the GT at the Shmuseum right now. And then this car has been coast to coast as well. And I've actually written a little list because it is quite fun. All 3 have been in Times Square, New York. All 3 have been to visit my friend Sean at Top Gear Imports in New Jersey. All 3 have been through Death Valley in Nevada. All 3 have driven the Las Vegas Strip and been to visit Houston at Royalty Exotics. And they've also done a fair few things in California. They've been to Danamai and Speedy Jeff's Man Cave. They've driven on Rodeo Drive in Beverly Hills. They've all been to visit Manny Koshbin as well. And they've all stayed at the same hotel in Orange County. Now, both of the other 2 have also been to Ocean Drive here in Miami. This has not yet. So maybe when we get back, we need to add that just to have the New York, LA, Miami thing going on. We'll have to see. So many different memories and places with this, but let's go and hop in, let's get on the road, because I want to go and pick up this thing that I've been looking forward to showing you for quite a while now. Now, I will never get bored of this car. I always slide the seat back manually because it makes getting in just that little bit easier, and then pull it forwards again. But obviously you have the whole out start into individual, hold a paddle, press the button. Sounds amazing. So let's go just for a short little drive. It's about 15 minutes from here to where we are heading for the moment. Time is a little bit against us before flying out later on. Oh, turn that off. But let's get this journey started and we will head out via all of the palm trees out here in this wonderful area of Miami and go show you what I'm talking about. I tell you what, it's not going to be as warm as it is out here back at home, surrounded by the palm trees, as we head kind of a little bit down towards Miami Beach at the moment, although that's not exactly where we're heading, just the route that it's taking. And one of the really interesting things about this car is that I had it serviced in Arizona, and I was a little bit anxious that dropping it off for service, they were going to find a whole host of problems and things that would be a massive issue and delay. Thankfully, it passed with a clean bill of health. Nothing that they needed to order or replace or anything like that. Just the completely general service, which is fantastic. The only downside is that while I have the paperwork from the service, it doesn't go onto the same digital system as a European car due to the VINs being completely different out here, which is Frustrating in a way, but obviously I have the paperwork that says it was serviced. So that's kind of cool, so far away from home. When you spot three-wheeler things with the face of an Aventador, weird. Well, goodbye to Miami Beach for the time being. We are crossing over the water. I'm not sure if you can quite see, but downtown is that away, where we're going. Obviously, I have had zero luck with the windscreens, and as you might have seen in Arizona, even picked up another little one. So had I got the windscreen replaced, that would still need replacing again. Gosh, that's quite a cool view out over all of the towers of Miami in the direction we are currently headed. So let's go and show you something that you might remember to do with the exhaust from my Ford GT, the original European exhaust that failed when I was here in the US in 2019. So I replaced it with the US spec Akrapovic titanium exhaust, and then had to come up with something fun to do with the original. Lambo Huracan Evo Spider, pretty much the car of Miami. There are a whole lot around. We find ourselves in the Miami Design District. That's actually the Tesla dealership as it happens. Everything around here is super out there. I mean, look at this. Look at the entrance to this parking garage. That's not normal. Maserati coming towards us. Where do we actually turn in? We're gonna go in here. So that would be this entrance. Let's hope that we're not too low for this. Often a fear. Oh my gosh, this is quite narrow. Okay, we're good. This hump is not good. Oh, a little scrape. AMG GT Roadster spotted. So we make our way up, hopefully into some sunshine. This is so Miami Design District. Look at the paint colors of the floor up at the top of this garage. This is jokes. Love it. What's that, some kind of slide? Be safe up there, people, be safe. Right, I'm gonna park here, because this is where we're coming to for the moment. This is a very suitable location then to come and show you what we have right here, hand-built by Goldvart, commissioned tailored artwork based obviously on the exhaust of my Ford GT, the same exhaust box that actually came from Los Angeles after it had been changed over at Galpin Ford there, over to Miami when it was transported in the GT500's trunk. But come and have a look at this. The original exhaust itself, obviously painted in the colors of my Ford GT, the original exhaust tailpipes, the one of one, because of course this is a unique piece, the Alcantara with the GT embroidery, just like we have on the headrests of the car, all of the details, even the original Ford emblem you can see on there as well. A very nice piece that is going to be hanging in the museum. Now also here, look at this example, a completely different style. The inlet manifolds from a Ferrari Testarossa, original components with the matching Ferrari interior leather and the stitching. These details are just phenomenal, such a cool thing. The only question now is how to send that all the way back home, but I think we're going to be able to do that in due course and get it mounted up on the wall at the museum. It is time to move on to the big question, the budget, what this trip has cost so far, and especially how that stacks up versus the expectations. And it is by no means an easy feat to send your car to a different continent for a couple of months with extensive traveling, and I feel very lucky to be able to say that this is my job, to bring you guys along for the adventures, to share the experiences of doing something like this. It's a very fortunate position to be in, and I'm super grateful to all of you who make this possible. But I did speak about what I expected the costs of this to be, and the biggest thing by far is to ship a car to a different continent, to be here for a couple of months with my very own car from home, the other side of the Atlantic Ocean. And one of the questions that I've answered a little bit before, but I know a lot of people are wondering in terms of this, is why send my own car here as opposed to just renting one when I get here? And the long story short is to rent a car for this length of time, to drive this many miles, and a car in particular that's this rare and exclusive, you're very unlikely to be able to do that for less than a 5-figure sum per month. As a result, to be able to do this with mine and to be able to have all of the memories and the moments, and remember, I'm not mileage precious. This is a car that I'm going to keep forever. It's a car that I want to enjoy driving, because the more miles I've driven, the more memories and moments I have to look back at the car and remember fondly all of those different adventures and journeys. So for me, the fact that it's done 10,000 miles or so already on this journey is a very good thing for a rental car that would hammer the price tag of it. The depreciation would be horrific on something like this. So as a result, you can't really do that. Plus, let's be real, it's super fun to be here with my car, with my very, very own car. So the biggest expense was shipping. I talked about this before. To send the car from the UK over to the US cost me about $12,000 in total. I expected it would be around $6,000 to send it home, but the interesting thing about the shipping prices is that to send a Ford GT out here, which I flew here in 2019, it was about the same price by air as opposed to by sea, and air takes 2 or 3 days, including clearing customs. Sea, of course, takes weeks, if not months, to get the car there. So huge, huge, huge differences. That's all to do with the pandemic, to do with the US economy, to do with demand over here. Prices have been sky high. It's thankfully softening down a little bit now, which is why the return is hopefully going to be $6,000 or maybe even less, but we'll go with that for the time being. Now, there are some other costs that are pretty much negated with those from home. For example, insurance. Obviously, while the car is here, it's not insured in the UK. That's roughly the same. It's a little bit more out here, so something like $1,000 a month, whereas at home maybe it'd be $750 a month. Not a huge, huge, huge difference, but obviously I originally intended to only do 2 parts of this tour, 2 30-day parts over around a 4-month period. It's extended out a little bit to go from 8,000 miles to what will probably be around 13,000 miles over 4 different parts and just over 90 days. We think it's going to be 93 nights here, so an extra 50% or more of the trip than was originally planned. And this is why I have some notes so that I can work all of this out and tell you the exact numbers. So shipping will stick with the original numbers, 12,000 out, 6,000 home. Insurance up from 4,000 for 4 months to 6,000 for 6 months. Fuel, a big one. Now this is quite interesting to do with this car in particular. As you've probably seen, most of the west side of the US only has 91 octane gas, and this car needs 93 at a minimum. 93 being equivalent to European 97 RON, different scales, octane scale and RON scale. As a result, I frequently had to go and find some race gas, some 100 octane race gas to try and average the tanks, but it means I spent a lot more than I intended. In fact, over the 10,000 miles so far, I've spent $3,800, and I'd said I would spend around $2,000, but we've got more to go, all towards the east of the country, so by the time we're all done, it will be around $5,000 in fuel, so around $3,000 more than I expected. Tyres, I actually thought I would need 2 complete sets for $3,000 a set. We changed the full set once for $2,000, and then I've had to change the fronts again because I had a puncture in the, I think it was this one, the front left one. So I had to get 2 new front ones, but by changing to the Cup 2s and getting some more mileage out of the first Cup 2Rs than I originally thought, I've spent a maximum of $3,000, and that's going to be enough to actually get us home. We won't need to do anything more on the tyres front. Service, I thought it would need a $1,000 service. We've had an oil change service and a check over. It was about $1,500 in the end, so add that to the maintenance budget. But the big win of all of this is the hotel budget. Now, I've been super lucky to stay with a number of different friends along the way, Triple F Collection, the Stradman. That's obviously helped the budget massively. We've been visiting some big cities at a time when travel in the US is really expensive. So staying in hotels like Marriott's and Hilton's, nice hotels, but nothing completely 5-star or absolutely crazy, have all shot up. And I budgeted for those 60 nights that it was going to be around $300 a night. I thought I would spend $18,000 in 60 nights. Well, up to this point for hotels, we are 73 nights in across these 3 parts, and I have spent a total of $14,400. And I reckon after we're all done, 93 nights or so, it will be around $19,000. So I've managed to squeeze 90 odd nights into my original 60-night budget, which I think is really quite cool to have done that. The other thing is the flights. Now, I thought it would be 2 people on 2 trips, and I would spend around $8,000 on premium economy flights across the sea, but in total for the 4 trips, which are now all booked for 2 people, so 8 flights, it is $12,600, so a little bit cheaper on average than I originally thought. The result of all of this is that I expected over 60 nights and 8,000 miles to spend $57,000. That's the number I gave first time around. There's one other cost I haven't mentioned, which was shipping the car across the country, because I decided to ship it from Arizona to Tennessee instead of driving it over for $2,500. But the end result, therefore, is that my 13,000 miles of driving and 93 nights of all of this tour, all said and done, should be in the region of $67,500. So roughly $10,500 more than expected for an extra 33 nights over what I thought. Obviously, that is a big commitment. I haven't included a new windscreen, which is going to need when I get home as well. That's probably another $2,500 or something like that. Maybe you say it's 70. We'll probably do a final recap at the very end, but I find it super interesting to have been able to do this and to spend so long on the road, relatively speaking. And I get this is all, you know, you got to think about what it actually is, sending a car like this to the other side of the world and driving it to so many amazing places for not too much, and I feel super lucky that I'm able to justify this, obviously able to generate some revenue to cover all of this, to be able to be the right way up at the end of it, we can say. But it's just amazing to be here with this car. Just unreal to drive it to so many mega American cities, and to be here in wintertime in the humidity, the unpleasant humidity of Miami. Anyway, we do need to head it over to cars to park it up, where it's going to be staying until part 4. I didn't intend it to be 4 parts of the tour, but I'm not complaining. I'm very much looking forward to the unbelievable stuff planned on the next part of the trip. For now though, let's get it started and let's head over. This means we get the loud start again. Let's do this. And I hadn't noticed some people doing a photo shoot with an M4 convertible in the background, because Miami Design District, because crazy colors. That's quite a cool spot actually to shoot a car of that color. Oh yeah, we don't do that. Dire Straits right now. Enjoying some good tunes while we drive. So on we go. Hopefully I can work out exiting this car park, because I had to give my temporary US phone number to drive in, and I have no idea how this system works. I'm just gonna, fingers crossed, hope it can somehow come together when we get to the exit. There's an Urus in the car park, plus a blue Vantage. Nice cars everywhere. The car spotting continues. Rolls-Royce Dawn. Haven't actually seen anywhere nearly as many Rolls-Royces and Lamborghini Huracans as I expected to on this trip to Miami, although we are in the area, as you can see, with all the nice shops, so there are probably some lurking around the street corners somewhere here. Rolls-Royce aplenty. Another Cullinan just casually chilling there. So it's a short drive from here in completely the wrong direction. I'm being stopped by a familiar face. Really? What a funny coincidence when you bump into a friend just driving around randomly. But hey, this is apparently a small city after all. And this is quite a fun little road. We are 1 block away from the parking garage, and I don't know, it doesn't feel like a city center anymore. But hey, Miami is an unusual place, a very interesting place, but it's about 20 minutes, I was gonna say, from here to Cars, where we're gonna be dropping this off, which feels very strange. Last drive for now. I've obviously done this a few times on this big tour, if you will, dropping the car off for a period. Although this time around we do have the return fully planned out and prepared. Somebody's getting towed and it's pinging away, and there's an Urus. I told you there'd be a Lamborghini around the street corner. That looks a little unusual as well. Something different about that? Got some extra parts on it. Yeah, the lip on the back and at the top of the window and the wheels. Oh dear. Somebody parked and their car is gone ski without them knowing. That's not ideal. Chrome wheels, man. Yeah, to Cars we go. Yay, grab a lime Mustang. Same color as my GT500. There are lots of those out here. AMG GT Roadster again. This is quite fun. We are in the right place, and all the buildings are like painted like this, or loads of the buildings are painted like this. Look at that Jeep. Look at how spaced out those wheels are. How big those wheels are. Just Miami things. And a Mustang convertible that matches my Ford GT, red with gold stripes. Another Vantage. Blue Aston Vantages for days today. In answer to the original question, I said that there was some good news and some bad news regarding the budget. Are we over budget on this trip? And I suppose at the end of the day, technically on paper, I am spending more than I originally thought I would spend on the US tour with the GT Black Series. So you could say it's over budget, but against that, we're here for 50% longer than we thought we would be, and it's only a little bit over. So in terms of average per day or something like that, we are doing very, very well, just watching the traffic as that truck came around the corner there. So yeah, I think it's under budget really. We have managed to keep it in check. A big thanks to the people who have helped along the way with various different things and places we've stayed, etc., that have made it very welcoming. But crazy to think this is kind of 3/4 of the tour done. There's still a good chunk to go. It's going to be a mega final part. We're going to be heading from Miami up via other places in Florida, up towards Georgia, back through Tennessee, have so much fun in Tennessee recently, and then we'll go from there all the way, I think, towards Chicago. And when we're in Chicago, it will then be a case of heading east towards the New York, New Jersey area, ready to send this back home, probably to load it back into a container, to send it from New Jersey back towards England in time for some stuff around Europe in summer. And there are some big things in Europe this summer that I'm certainly very much looking forward to, that I can't say too much. That was very Florida driving. Last second, this man just moved lanes. Okay. Oh, Florida driving. You just have to expect the unexpected. You have to expect stupid, dare I say it. Nice G-Wagon, just there on the left. What's that? Is that a Brabus kit? That is a Brabus kit. Sweet. Looks like it's been off-road as well. What a beast. Yeah, Florida driving, hey? Florida driving. Anyway, Cars looked after this car when it was in California over Christmas and New Year. It had been obviously with the Stradman when we'd left it after part 1 before part 2 in Utah, and now we're leaving it here in Miami. I'm going to say goodbye to it in a moment here in Miami, and it won't be long until we're back. You will have to excuse all of the noise at the moment. We've got the fans of this running full pelt. These fans always run in overdrive. It's genuinely like full blast here because of course the car is quite hot. We've got planes, as you can hear. That was a nice private jet going right overhead, and we've got a tow truck just loading up as well. But we're at Cars' warehouse, where of course there are lots of trailers and transporters and all sorts of things going on with some very cool cars which are all top secret, and unfortunately I cannot share with you, but mine is going to be taken inside. It's going to be in good hands here. It's going to be safe. It's going to be looked after, all the things that matter with something like this. Unfortunately, I've not really left it as clean as I could have done, so I'll probably need to just store it, and then maybe they can help. Maybe when I get back I'll take it straight away to get it washed up on day 1, something like that. We'll see. Time has been a little bit back to back on our very brief visit here to Miami, but for now it's going to be time to go hand over the keys again, get all of our luggage out first. It would be a bit strange to leave all of that in, get picked up, head from here to the airport, and make our way back towards England. So that's it for part 3. Back to England though, for the briefest of brief times, because a little birdie tells me there is a mid-engined hybrid supercar with a roof box that's ready and prepared to depart on a road trip around Europe. That sounds quite fun, doesn't it? I'll see you then. Thanks for watching as always, guys. I appreciate your support an awful lot, and I look forward to catching up with you again very soon. Cheers!